Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into the misty, untamed wilds of pagan Ukraine, long before churches dotted the horizon or crosses hung around necks. Picture yourself standing on a frost-kissed plain, the wind howling like a wolf, carrying whispers of ancient gods and half-forgotten rituals. The air smells of damp earth and pine, and somewhere nearby, a fire crackles in a village you can barely make out through the fog. This is a world where survival hinges on your wits, your respect for nature, and maybe a little luck with the spirits. Spoiler alert, you probably wouldn't survive a single winter here. Your modern indoor plumbing habits would betray you faster than a fox snatches a hen. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're drifting off from tonight. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're trudging through a vast, rolling landscape where the Dnieper River snakes like a silver thread, its banks fringed with reeds and secrets. This is Ukraine before Christianity, a patchwork of Slavic tribes scattered across forests, steppes and marshlands. The year? Let's call it sometime around the 6th century, though nobody's scribbling dates on parchment just yet. You're part of a small clan, maybe the Drevlians or the Polans, huddled in a settlement of wooden huts with thatched roofs. The ground beneath your feet is a mix of dirt and hope, churned by generations who've scratched a living from this stubborn soil. Every tree, every stone feels alive, pulsing with spirits that demand your respect. Forget Netflix. Your entertainment is the crackle of a communal fire and the tales of elders who swear they've seen forest. Spirits dance under the moon. Life here is raw. Your day starts at dawn when the sky's still bruised purple, and you're out checking traps for rabbits or hauling water from a stream that's half frozen most of the year. Your clothes, rough linen or wool, dyed with whatever plants your kin could mash into colour. Think muddy reds and greens that scream, "I tried." Food is whatever you can grow, hunt, or gather. Rye and barley are your staples, ground into coarse bread that makes your modern teeth wince. If you're lucky, there's honey or wild berries, but don't get too excited, famine's always lurking like an uninvited guest. Historical fact, these early Slavs were already cultivating millet, a grain so tough it could grow in the poorest soils, keeping tribes fed when winters turned brutal. Now let's get quirky. Ever heard of the Banya spirits? These weren't just saunas. They were sacred sweat lodges where you'd steam your sins away, hoping the resident spirit, called a bannock, didn't get cranky and scold you. Locals swore you had to leave an offering, like a scrap of bread, to keep this grumpy spirit happy. Mess it up, and you're hobbling out with burns or bad luck. Nobody's writing Yelp reviews, but trust me, you'd tiptoe around that banya like it was a dragon's den. Your village isn't just a bunch of huts. It's a living, breathing thing. Each family has a role. Some weave, some hunt, some whisper to the gods. The center of it all is the zitlo, a communal space where decisions get made, stories get spun, and disputes get settled, usually with a lot of shouting and mead. You're not just surviving. You're part of something bigger, a tribe bound by blood and necessity. Historians still argue whether these early settlements were egalitarian or if chieftains were already flexing their power, hoarding the best cuts of venison. Either way, you're not calling the shots yet. As night falls, you huddle closer to the fire. The stars above are brighter than you've ever seen. No city lights to dull them. Someone's carving a wooden idol, maybe of Perun, the thunder god, his face all sharp angles and fierce eyes. You're told to leave a bit of bread at its base just in case. The wind picks up, and you swear it carries voices, maybe spirits, maybe just your imagination. Either way, you're not wandering into the forest alone tonight. Call it instinct, but you know the wilds aren't just home to wolves. There's something older out there watching. You're learning fast that survival means reading the land. The seasons dictate everything: when to plant, when to hunt, when to pray. Spring's a muddy mess, but it's when you sow your crops, whispering thanks to Mokosh, the Earth Mother, for not screwing you over this year. Summer's for foraging and fighting off bugs that'd make your skin crawl. Autumn? That's when you scramble to store enough food to outlast the winter, which hits like a vengeful god. If you're not prepared, you're not eating. And trust me, you're not charming your way out of starvation with a TikTok dance. Every step you take feels like a negotiation with the world around you. That river? It's not just water. It's a spirit that might drown you if you don't show respect. That oak tree could be a sacred grove where you'd better not piss off the Leshy, the forest guardian, who'd happily get you lost forever. Your life is a constant dance between work, worship, and not stepping on supernatural toes. It's exhausting, but there's a rhythm to it, a pulse that keeps your clan alive. And as you lie down on a straw mat, the fire's embers glowing, you wonder if you'll dream of gods or monsters, or if they're even different. You're weaving through the underbrush now, the forest thickening around you like a living wall, branches snagging at your tunic as if testing your resolve. The air's heavy with the scent of moss and distant smoke, and up ahead, voices rise in a rhythmic chant. Your tribe's gathering, pulling you into the heart of what makes this world tick. You've left the solitary dawn behind. Now it's all about the group, the bonds that turn lone wanderers into a force. These pagan lands aren't for the faint-hearted solo act. Survival's a team sport, and you're about to learn the rules, cheeky as they might be. Imagine trying to boss around a bunch of stubborn Slavs. Good luck with that. You'd probably end up tied to a tree as an offering to the gods. The tribes are coming together, not in some grand council with fancy robes, but in the gritty, everyday mashup of lives intertwined. You're part of the Antes, or maybe the Sclaveni, names that echo across the steppes like forgotten songs. These groups aren't just random folks. They're forming structures, loose at first, like a net thrown over fish. Your village expands, huts clustering around a central clearing where the elders sit, their beards like tangled roots, deciding who farms what patch or who marries whom. It's not democracy, more like a family argument where the loudest voice wins. But everyone gets a say, or at least pretends to. You wake to the sound of hammers on wood, neighbors building a new longhouse because the clan's growing. Babies cry, dogs bark, and somewhere a woman's singing a lullaby that's half prayer, half curse against evil spirits. Social structures? They're built on blood and oaths. You swear loyalty to a chieftain, a burly guy with scars from bear fights, or so he claims, and in return, he protects you from raiders. It's a pyramid, sort of. Chieftains at the top, warriors below, then farmers, craftsmen, and the odd shaman who talks to trees. But it's fluid. Piss off the wrong god and that chieftain's out. Replaced by someone with better luck. As you haul logs for a new palisade, you feel the weight of community. Everyone pitches in, women spinning wool, men forging tools from bog iron that's as stubborn as their tempers. Trade binds you too. A neighbor from another tribe shows up with amber beads, and suddenly you're bartering furs for salt. These exchanges aren't just economic, they're social glue, forging alliances that might save your hide when nomads come knocking. Historical fact, by the 7th century, these Slavic tribes had established fortified settlements called grods, hill forts that served as both defense and administrative hubs, evolving from simple villages into proto-towns. But let's sprinkle in some quirk. You've got the Kobzar types, blind bards wandering between tribes, strumming lutes and spinning yarns that unite folks under shared myths. Fringe tidbit. Some say these bards weren't just entertainers, they were secret keepers, hiding maps to sacred sites in their songs, or even cursing enemies with rhymes that could wilt crops. Miss a verse and boom, your harvest's haunted. Nobody's proving it, but you tip them extra meat just in case. You're in the thick of a tribal assembly now, the Vetch, where voices clash like thunder. Men and women, yeah, women too, because who else knows the land's moods better? Debate raids or marriages. It's chaotic, sarcastic shouts flying, "You want to fight the Avars?" With what, your grandmother's broom? But it works, forging unity from discord. Scholars still argue whether these early structures were truly communal or if hidden. Hierarchies lurked, with shamans pulling strings from the shadows. Some say egalitarian, others sniff at proto-feudalism. Either way, you're voting with your feet. If it sucks, you pack up and join another tribe. Night falls and you're around the fire again. But this time it's bigger, the whole community linked arm in arm. Stories flow like rivers, tales of ancestors who united against beasts or storms. You pass a horn of fermented honey, feeling the warmth spread, the bonds tighten. It's not all rosy. Jealousies simmer, feuds brew over stolen cattle or slighted honours. But that's the spice, keeps you alert, sarcastic quips sharpening like knives. You venture out with a hunting party, bonds tested in the wild. The forest whispers secrets, and you rely on each other. One tracks, another shoots, you carry the kill. Back home, the feast reinforces it all, shared meat, shared laughs, shared prayers to Rod, the progenitor god who watches over kin. Miss a ritual and the group suffers. It's collective karma, pagan style. As days blend, you see how structures evolve. A successful raid brings slaves harsh. But that's the era, and they integrate, blurring lines. Women hold sway in homes, deciding lineages, while men handle the bloody bits. It's balanced, in a cheeky, don't mess with my weave or I'll hex you way. You're building not just walls, but webs of relation, marriages linking tribes, turning rivals into relatives, winter bites and unity shines. You huddle in communal halls, sharing heat and tales, sarcasm thawing the cold. Pass the stew before I freeze and haunt you. It's survival theatre, every role crucial. Spring thaws and you plant together, rituals uniting hands in soil. Makosh blesses the seeds, or so you hope. You're deeper now, feeling the pulse of tribe life. It's not perfect, betrayals happen, chieftains fall, but the structure holds a living entity. As you drift towards sleep, embers glowing, you smirk at how fragile yet fierce it all is. Tomorrow, more building, more bonding. Sweet, isn't it? Or exhausting. Either way, you're in it together. You stir from that half-sleep haze. The fire's glow fading into the first light of dawn. And already the world around you hums with invisible forces, gods, spirits, the wild heartbeat of everything. It's not like you flip a switch for faith here. It's woven into every breath, every step. You're up early, splashing cold stream water on your face, muttering a quick plea to Vales, the underworld trickster, to keep the cattle safe from whatever lurks in the shadows. These deities aren't distant figures in dusty books. They're your nosy neighbours, meddling in your crops, your hunts, your dreams. Cheeky bastards. Really, always demanding offerings but never sending a thank you note. You'd roll your eyes if you weren't half afraid they'd smite you for it. The pantheon unfolds like a family reunion gone wild, each god with their quirks and domains, ruling over the chaos of life. Perun thunders at the top, literally god of lightning, war and oaks, his axe cracking the sky when he's in a mood. You glance up at storm clouds rolling in, and your heart skips. Better leave a bit of bread under that sacred tree, or he'll zap your hut just to prove a point. Then there's Makosh, the moist Mother Earth, all nurturing and fertile. But don't cross her. She'll swallow your seeds whole if you forget to honour the harvest. You're out in the fields now, fingers in the dirt, planting rye while whispering her name, hoping for a bountiful yield instead of weeds and woe. Life's a constant chat with these gods, integrated into the mundane like salt in stew. You carve a small idol of Svarog, the blacksmith sky god, and place it by your forge, asking for straight arrows and sturdy ploughs. His son's Dashbog brings the sun, so you greet the dawn with arms outstretched, thanking him for not leaving you in eternal dark, though on those endless winter days, you wonder if he's slacking. The gods mirror the wilds, unpredictable, vital, a bit sarcastic in their indifference. You trip over a root, that's Leshy messing with you, the forest lord, who shifts paths just for laughs. Better carry a bit of bread in your pocket to bribe him back on track. As you wander deeper into the woods for firewood, the air thickens with their presence. Every rustle could be a domovoi, the house spirit, or a rusalka, those watery temptresses who drown you with a wink. Worship isn't formal sermons. It's casual, cheeky bartering, offer honey to the bee's god, or face a stingy swarm. Historical fact, archaeological digs reveal that by the 8th century, Slavic pagans were erecting wooden temples called kapishcha, circular enclosures with idols where communities gathered to sacrifice animals. ensuring the gods' favor in battles and births. But here's a quirky fringe bit. Some tales whisper of Volkvi, shaman priests who could shapeshift into wolves under Vele's gaze, prowling knights to guard secrets or curse foes. Not your average clergy. They chew hallucinogenic mushrooms, dance wild, and claim visions of the gods' true forms.
Skeptical? You'd be too.
Until your neighbor swears his lost cow returned after one such ritual.
Nobody's confirming it with science, but it adds that sleepy thrill to the lore.
You're back in the village, helping raise a pole for a festival, and the debates simmer like stew over fire. Historians still argue whether this pantheon was rigidly hierarchical or a loose collective, with local variations where one tribe exalted Perun while another bowed deeper to Mokosh. Some say borrowed from neighbours like the Balts or Scandinavians, blending thunder gods into a Slavic stew. Either way, you're not philosophizing. You're living it, tossing bones into the fire for divination, reading cracks for godly hints. The day wears on and you're at the riverbank, dipping nets while invoking Strybog, the wind god, to blow fish your way. He's fickle, that one. Calm breezes one moment, gales the next. Your clan's elders spin yarns of how the gods birthed the world. Rod, the All-Father, splitting chaos into order, birthing siblings who squabble eternally. It's family drama on a cosmic scale.
And you're the extra in the play, offering mead to keep peace.
Night creeps in and you gather for a rite, circling a bonfire under the stars. Chants rise low and rhythmic, calling on Eurilo, the spring god of fertility, even if it's not his season, always good to butter him up early. Women lead the dance, skirts swirling, invoking femininity's power through Makosh's grace. Men pound drums, echoing Perun's thunder.
It's intimate, ASMR whispers to the divine.
Sarcasm laced in pleas. Hey,
gods, don't be stingy this year, yeah?
You feel their weight in dreams, too. Vivid visits where Veles slithers as a serpent,
offering wisdom or tricks.
Wake up sweating and you know to check the barn. Worship's daily grind, mark a tree with runes for protection, bury a coin for luck. The gods demand balance, give and receive, ignore and suffer.
Cheeky, isn't it? Like that they're testing your patience.
Deeper into the wilds, you hunt with bows, blessed by Devana, the huntress goddess, fierce and free. She's no damsel.
She'd outrun you laughing all the way.
Offerings here are blood from the kill shared with her spirit. The pantheon's wild side shines, animism blending gods with nature. Every rock a potential deity. As seasons shift, gods adapt. Winter's Marana, Death's queen, yields to spring's revival. You're in rituals burying her effigy, cheeky taunts to hurry warmth. It's cyclical, eternal, your life a thread in their tapestry.
Village life pulses with them. Births blessed by Rozhanitsi, fates spun at cradle.
Marriages under Lada's love gaze, feasts with toasts to all. Even death's a transition, guided by Veles to Nav, the underworld. You're exhausted, collapsing by the hearth, but the gods linger in embers. Whisper a final prayer, smirking at their demands. Tomorrow, more devotion, more life under their watchful, whimsical eyes. You feel the shift in the air now. A subtle warmth creeping in as summer's grip tightens. The fields around your village turning from green, sprouts to swaying golden waves.
Ready for the sickle.
It's harvest time creeping up. That make or break season where all your backbreaking work pays off, or doesn't, leaving you to beg the gods for mercy. You're out there at first light, dew soaking your boots.
Eyeing the crops like a gambler at a dice game.
These rituals aren't just parties. They're your insurance policy against starvation, wrapped in chants and cheeky offerings that might make the spirits chuckle. Imagine fumbling a sacred dance and dooming the whole tribe to bland porridge all winter. You'd be the village punchline, if anyone survived to laugh. The festivals kick off with the first ripe ears. Your clan gathering in the fields under a sky that's impossibly blue.
Like the gods painted it just to show off.
You join the circle, hands linked with neighbors whose calluses match yours, invoking Kupalo for midsummer magic, though harvest proper amps it up. Sickles flash in the sun, but not before the first sheaf's tied and offered to Makosh, buried in the soil or hung in the barn. to ensure next year's bounty. It's a cheeky bargain. Here, Earth Mama.
Take this and don't skimp on the rye. The air buzzes with anticipation.
Kids darting around like fireflies. Elders muttering incantations that sound half asleep, lulling you into the rhythm. You're knee-deep in the reaping now, back aching but spirit high, songs floating over the fields low, melodic tunes praising the gods for not turning the weather spiteful. Evening brings the real fun, bonfires leap, casting shadows that dance like mischievous domovoi. You leap over flames with a partner, a ritual for fertility and luck, whispering sarcastic asides like, "Don't trip, or we'll blame the Leshy for our bruises." Mead flows, honey sweet and heady, toasting Jiva, goddess of life, whose essence pulses in every grain. These aren't scripted events. They're organic, evolving with the moon's phase or a shaman's dream. As the moon climbs, you partake in the obzhinki, the harvest end rite, where the last sheaf's woven into a doll, creepy cute, adorned with ribbons and paraded home. It's treated like a guest, fed symbolic meals, then drowned in the river or burned, releasing its spirit back to the fields. Fringe tilbit. Some fringes whisper that if the doll's eyes, carved from berries, seem to follow you, it's a sign of buried treasure or a curse, depending on your luck. Villagers swear by it, hiding coins under floorboards after such omens, though you'd smirk and call it superstition until it happens to you. The ceremonies blend work and worship seamlessly. You're threshing grain on a communal floor, feet stomping in time to drums, turning labor into liturgy. Offerings pile up, bread loaves shaped like animals, poured libations of milk for the Polivic, field spirits who tangle your crops if ignored. It's ASMR heaven, whispers of thanks, rustle of sheaves, crackle of fires, all designed to soothe the gods into generosity. Historical fact, evidence from ancient Slavic sites shows that by the 9th century, these harvest festivals included communal feasts where beer, brewed from the new grain, was shared, strengthening tribal bonds and marking the agricultural calendar's peak. Deeper into the night, debates flicker like embers. Historians still argue whether these rituals were purely agrarian or laced with warrior elements, like mock battles to defeat winter's approach, borrowed perhaps from Scythian neighbors. Some say peaceful, others insist on symbolic violence to appease war gods amid harvests. You're not debating, you're living it, tossing grain into the wind for augury, reading how it scatters for signs of plenty or plague. Autumn deepens and rituals adapt, apple festivals for Pomona-like spirits, where you bob for fruits in barrels, laughter echoing as cheeks get sticky. It's playful sarcasm, catch one and love finds you, drop it and you're cursed with frogs. Kids learn the lore, mimicking dances that ensure the cycle continues. You're weaving garlands of wheat, hanging them over doors to ward off evil eyes, a cheeky nod to the unseen watchers. The village square transforms for the big feast, tables groaning under roasted meats, pies bursting with berries, all blessed by the Volk. You eat with gusto, stories flowing, tales of bountiful years past, or the one where a stingy farmer got his fields haunted by mice. It's community catharsis, releasing the season's tension in shared indulgence. As stars wheel overhead, you join a procession to the sacred grove, carrying torches that flicker like sleepy eyes. Chants rise, invoking the ancestors to join the harvest's joy, their spirits feasting on vapors from offered foods. It's intimate, a whispery bridge between worlds, sarcasm softened by reverence. Come on,
Old ones, don't ghost us now.
winter's whisper approaches, so you store the last grains with rituals, sprinkling salt for purity, burying talismans against rot. The gods get their due, a portion set aside for idols, ensuring they're not hangry come spring. You're exhausted, collapsing amid the remnants but fulfilled. The cycles turn a lullaby. Days blend into preparation for the next phase. But harvest's echo lingers, songs hummed while mending tools, dreams of golden fields. It's the heartbeat of your world. Rituals binding time, tribe,
And the divine in a cheeky eternal dance.
You wake to the soft cluck of hens scratching outside your hut, the first rays of sun filtering through, the cracks in the thatched roof like lazy fingers poking you awake. It's another day in this rural pagan nook where the hearth fires the heart of everything, literally, a flickering center that warms your bones, cooks your meals, and probably judges your lazy mornings. You're rolling off your straw pallet, yawning wide, already smelling the faint smoke from last night's embers. Life here's a cozy grind, full of routines that'd make your modern self crave a coffee run. But hey, at least there's no alarm clock. Just the rooster, who's suspiciously sarcastic in his crowing, like he's mocking your sleep-in attempts. The hut's your world, a snug wooden frame of logs chinked with moss and clay, roof sloping low enough that you duck if you're tall. Inside it's dim and earthy, with shelves of clay pots, woven baskets overflowing with dried herbs, and that eternal hearth pit in the middle, ringed by stones. You stoke the fire first thing, whispering a nod to the domovoi, the household spirit who's basically your invisible roommate, grumpy if you forget to leave a crumb or two. Mornings start slow, splash water from a bucket on your face. Maybe chew a willow twig for that fresh breath vibe. Then it's off to milk the goats or fetch eggs. The air's crisp, laced with pine from the nearby woods, and you can't help but smirk at how simple it all seems until the chores pile up like uninvited guests. You're knee-deep in the daily rhythm now, tending the small plot behind the hut where cabbages and turnips fight for space. Weeding's meditative, your fingers in the cool soil, muttering to Makosh for growth without the cheeky weeds taking over. Breakfast? Porridge from yesterday's grains, maybe stirred with a bit of sour milk or wild honey if the bees were kind. You eat cross-legged by the fire, sharing with kin, parents, siblings, maybe a spouse who's already out mending fences. Conversations like sarcastic jabs about who snored loudest or whose turn it is to chase the pigs back in. No rush, times marked by the sun's arc, not clocks. As the day heats up, routines branch out. If you're a woman, you're spinning wool from the sheep, fingers twisting fibers into yarn while humming old tunes that ward off boredom and maybe evil eyes. Men, out with axes, chopping wood or repairing the roof before rain turns it to mush. Kids scamper, learning by doing, gathering berries, herding geese, all while elders spin yarns about spirits in the stove. The hearth's command central. Soups bubble there all day. A perpetual stew of whatever's on hand. Roots, greens, the odd bit of meat from a hunt. You stir it absent-mindedly, the steam rising like sleepy whispers, filling the hut with scents that make your stomach rumble in anticipation. Village life pulses around individual homes, but yours is the core. You venture out to the well, bucket in hand, chatting with neighbors over the creak of the rope, gossip about a bad omen or a good trade. Back inside, you're kneading dough for flatbreads, slapping it onto hot stones by the fire, watching it puff up with that satisfying hiss. Afternoons might mean weaving baskets from reeds or carving wooden spoons, tools passed down like secrets. Everything's handmade, cheeky imperfections adding character. A lopsided pot that tips just enough to spill on the lazy one. Historical fact, excavations of early Slavic dwellings reveal that by the 7th century, these rural homes often featured sunken floors for insulation, dug a meter deep to trap heat during harsh winters, making the hearth even more essential for survival in the cold Ukrainian climate. But let's add some quirk. Fringe tidbit, whispers among villagers, claim that if you bury a cat's whisker under the hearth threshold, it keeps away the kikimora, a spindly spirit who'd tangle your yarn or sour your milk out of spite. Not everyone buys it, but you'd catch grannies doing it on the sly, smirking like they've outsmarted the supernatural. Harmless fun, or so you hope, until your thread knots mysteriously one night. You're settling into the evening routines now, the sun dipping low, painting the hut in golden hues. Suppers around the hearth, families circled close, spoons dipping into the communal pot. Stories flow, tales of the day's mishaps, like the cow that wandered off, probably lured by a rusalka. Laughter's soft, sarcastic. Next time, tie it to your leg, you fool. After, you mend clothes by firelight,
needle-pricking fingers in the dim glow.
While someone plays a simple flute carved from elderwood, notes lulling like ASMR whispers, scholars still argue whether these pagan homes were matriarchal havens or patriarchal strongholds, with some evidence pointing to women controlling the hearth and household rituals, while others see male dominance in property inheritance. Artifacts like female figurines suggest empowerment, but texts from later eras muddle the picture.
You're not pondering that.
You're living the balance, where everyone pulls weight, sarcasm bridging any gaps. Nights deepen and you bank the fire, covering embers with ash to last till morning. The hut quiets, save for the occasional pop of wood or rustle of straw. You lie down wrapped in furs, mind drifting to tomorrow's chores, ploughing if spring, foraging if summer. It's repetitive, sure, but there's comfort in the cycle, a sleepy security in knowing the hearth will greet you at dawn. Seasons colour the routine subtly. Winter, you're snowbound, hearth blazing non-stop, repairing tools indoors while blizzards howl outside like offended gods.
Spring brings mud and mending.
Summer sweat and longer days, autumn frantic storage.
Always, the home's a sanctuary.
Warded with symbols scratched on doors, crosses. No pagan runes for protection, cheeky challenges to any daring spirit. You're dreaming now or half awake, the fire's glow a distant hum. Routines aren't glamorous, but they're yours, grounded gritty, with just enough whimsy to keep the boredom at bay. Tomorrow it starts again, hearth calling like an old friend. You stretch awake in the dim light of your hut, the straw mat, prickling your back like a gentle reminder that rest is fleeting in this world. Outside, the village stirs with a different energy today, not the usual hum of chores, but a sharper buzz like the air before a storm. You've heard the whispers around the hearth last night. Scouts spotted tracks from rival tribes, maybe the aunties pushing boundaries again. Time to dust off your axe and remember those oaths you swore under the oak tree, binding you to kin in blood and battle.
It's warrior life calling, cheeky as ever. Think you're tough?
Wait till you're facing a horde with nothing but a wooden shield and a prayer to Perun. You probably trip over your own feet in the first charge, but hey, at least the gods might laugh. The day ramps up with training, your clan gathering in a clearing ringed by ancient pines that seem to lean in, watching like judgmental elders. You're handed a spear, its tip sharpened on river stones, and paired with a burly neighbor who's got more scars than sense. Basics first, footwork drills, dodging swings that whistle past your ear, your heart pounding like a drum in a ritual. It's not glamorous. Mud splatters your legs, sweat stings your eyes, but there's a rhythm, a sleepy cadence to the commands. Thrust,
Parry, retreat, elders bark orders.
Their voices gravelly from years of shouting,
Laced with sarcasm. Move like you mean it.
or the enemy will use your skull for a cup. You're deeper into it now, learning formations. The wedge for breaking lines, the circle for defense when outnumbered, shields lock, wood clunking like muffled thunder, and you feel the bond forming.
Oaths whispered before each session. By Perun's axe, I stand with you. These aren't empty words.
They're sealed with blood pricks or shared mead, tying souls in a web of loyalty.
Fail your oath and you're outcast.
Wandering like a ghost, worse than death in these tight-knit tribes. Conflicts loom always, border skirmishes over hunting grounds, raids for cattle or slaves. You're not invading empires. It's personal. Cheeky feuds that simmer like stew, left too long on the fire. As sun climbs, you practice archery. Boughs of yew wood strung tight.
Arrows fletched with goose feathers. Aim at straw dummies stuffed.
To look like foes complete, with painted snarls for that extra motivation. Miss and your mates rib you mercilessly. Aiming for the birds, eh? Hope they fight for us. Hits and nods, building confidence for the real thing. Weapons vary, axes for close work, spears for throwing, maybe a sword if your chieftain's generous with iron trades.
Armor? Leather tunics reinforced with bone plates. Nothing fancy.
But it'll turn a glancing blow. You're training not just body, but mind endurance runs through forests. Lest ye be damned to build stamina for pursuits or retreats. Village turns into a makeshift camp during high alert. Huts fortified with stakes, watchfires burning through nights. You're on rotation, peering into darkness, ears straining for hoofbeats or war cries. Oaths bind deeper here, pre-battle rituals under the full moon, swearing on idols to fight fierce or die trying. Peruns invoked most, thunder god lending strength. But Veles sneaks in for cunning tricks, ambushes in mist, feigned retreats that lure enemies into traps. Conflicts aren't constant. Seasons dictate summer raids when food's plentiful, winter truces when snow buries grudges. Historical fact records from Byzantine chroniclers note that by the 6th century, Slavic warriors employed guerrilla tactics effectively against larger forces, using the dense Ukrainian forests for hit and run, ambushes that frustrated imperial armies. But quirk it up, fringe tales speak of berserker brews, potions from fly agaric mushrooms that warriors quaffed to enter frenzies. Fighting like wolves possessed by Veles, they'd howl, foam at the mouth and charge unbreakable. Or so the stories go. Sane folks avoid it, but you'd hear boasts around fires, cheeky claims of invincibility that fade with the hangover. You're in a mock battle now, clans split for practice, charging with blunted weapons. Chaos ensues, shouts, clashes, the thud of bodies hitting ground. It's ASMR violence, grunts, low and rhythmic, wood cracking softly, breaths heavy like whispers. Fall and you're dead, lying there smirking at the sky while others fight on. Lessons sink in, protect flanks, listen for commands, trust your oath-bound brothers. Women aren't sidelined. Some train too, wielding knives or bows, guardians of home when men raid.
It's balanced, sarcastic equality. Fight like a man?
Nah, fight smart like me. Scholars still argue whether these tribal conflicts were purely defensive or expansionist, with some pointing to archaeological weapon hoards as evidence of organized warfare, while others see them as ritualized skirmishes to maintain
honor without full-scale destruction.
Artifacts like arrowheads in burial sites fuel the debate. War trophies or everyday tools? Nights after training, you gather by fires, nursing bruises with herbal poultices, sharing tales of past glories, the raid where fog hid your approach, or the standoff ended with oaths instead of blood.
Mead loosens tongues, bonds strengthen your family now,
forged in sweat and steel. Sleep comes heavy, dreams of clashes where gods intervene, Perun's lightning scattering foes. Seasons shift, but warrior readiness lingers. Spring brings scout patrols along rivers. Summer, actual raids, swift, cheeky grabs of livestock, retreating before retaliation. Autumn, fortify for potential revenge. Winter thaws grudges or freezes them solid. You're always oath-bound, a thread in the tribe's martial tapestry.
Exhaustion sets in, but pride swells.
You're no hero, just a link in the chain. Sarcastic, steadfast, ready.
As embers die, you drift.
The weight of your spear, a comforting promise for tomorrow's trials. You shake off the remnants of last night's fireside tales, the scent of smoke still clinging to your woolen cloak as you step out into the crisp morning air, where the village path leads toward the riverbank, bustling with unfamiliar voices. It's trade day, or close enough. Word spreads like wildfire when caravans approach, laden with goods from lands you've only heard about in whispers. You're grabbing a sack of furs, slinging it over your shoulder, feeling the weight of potential barters that could mean salt for your stew or beads for your kin. These paths aren't just dirt tracks. They're lifelines, weaving your pagan world with others in a cheeky exchange of necessities and novelties. Imagine haggling with a sly
merchant who eyes your honey like it's
gold. You probably overpay just to avoid his smirk. But that's the thrill of it all. The river's your highway, the Dnieper swelling with meltwater, boats bobbing like expectant ducks. You're pushing off in a dugout canoe, paddles dipping in rhythm with your heartbeat, heading to a neutral ground where tribes mingle without drawing blades, usually. Neighbors roll in, Baltic folks from the north with amber that glows like trapped sunlight, Scythian nomads from the steppes hauling horses and hides, even Byzantine traders sneaking up from the south with silks that feel like whispers on skin. You dock amid the chaos, voices babbling in tongues you half understand, gestures filling the gaps. Barter's the game, no coins yet, just eye for eye swaps, your rye for their flax, your pottery for iron ingots that'll forge better tools.
You're in the thick of it now.
Spreading your wares on a blanket, furs soft as a lover's touch, honey jars sealed with wax, woven baskets sturdy enough for a season's haul. A grizzled trader approaches, his beard braided with beads, offering salt crystals that crunch under your fingers. You haggle low and slow, sarcastic jabs flying. This salt's from the sea. Tastes like your tears from last trade. Laughter seals deals better than oaths here. Goods flow, wax for candles. Beeswax from your hives traded for spices that tickle your nose. Cinnamon? No, but something exotic that'll spice up bland porridge. It's economic tango. Each step building ties that might prevent raids or spark alliances. As the sun arcs higher, you wander the makeshift market, eyes wide at foreign oddities, a glass bead necklace from distant Romans, or was it Greeks? You finger the smooth orbs, imagining them around your spouse's neck. A cheeky gift to earn favors. Trade isn't just stuff. It's stories swapped over shared bread. Tales of far-off gods that sound suspiciously like yours, but with twists. That Baltic merchant prays to a thunder god too, Pacunas. Close enough to Perun that you nod knowingly, wondering if they're cousins in the divine family tree. Exchanges deepen. You learn new weaving techniques from a visitor. They take your herbal remedies for aches. The paths weave wider, overland trails through forests where leshy might lurk. But greed outpaces fear. You're joining a caravan briefly.
Oxen pulling carts groaning under loads.
Heading toward a hill fort where bigger deals happen. Security's key, warriors escort.
Oaths sworn to protect the group.
Because bandits are cheeky opportunists waiting in shadows. Arrive and it's a festival of commerce. Slaves traded, harsh reality. Livestock bartered, metals swapped for grains. Your tribe gains tools that ease life. Better sickles from iron-rich neighbors, meaning faster harvests and less backache. Historical fact, by the 8th century, archaeological evidence shows that Slavic tribes along the Dnieper were actively trading amber and furs southward to the Byzantine Empire, receiving in return luxury items like silk and wine, which influenced local craftsmanship and burial customs. But let's quirk it up. Fringe tidbits, some old yarns. Claim traders carried whisper stones, polished pebbles, enchanted by shamans to reveal lies during haggles. Hold one, ask a price, and if it warmed, truth. Cooled deceit. Skeptics laugh, but you'd spot merchants pocketing them quick when deals soured, swearing by Velis cunning it was just a lucky charm. You're haggling over a bronze dagger now,
its edge sharp enough to shave with.
From stepsmiths who know their fire. Pay with pelts from a winter hunt. Feeling the economic pulse. Your furs warm their winters. Their blade aids your hunts. It's cyclical, like the seasons, binding cultures in mutual need. Debates simmer among elders back home. Is this blending good, or does it dilute your pagan ways? Foreign idols sneak in, tucked in traders' packs, sparking curiosity or curses. Scholars still argue whether these early trades were egalitarian barters or hierarchical, with chieftains controlling flows to amass power. Evidence from hordes suggesting elite monopolies, while others point to widespread artifacts, implying broad access. Afternoon wanes, and you're loading acquisitions, cloth for new tunics, herbs unknown but promising for poultices. Bonds form. A repeat trader becomes almost kin, oaths exchanged for future deals. Paddle back upstream, river murmuring secrets. Your canoe heavier but heart lighter. Unload at village, sharing spoils, salt sprinkled in stew, beads distributed with cheeky boasts of your bargaining prowess. Nights after trade, fireside chats buzz with new lore, descriptions of distant seas, gods with many arms, cities of stone. It expands your world, cheeky reminders that your pagan patch isn't isolated. Dreams come laced with journeys, paths calling you further. Seasons shape trades. Spring floods ease river runs. Summer overland hauls, autumn grain surpluses. Winter halts till ice thaws. Always it's woven into life, economic threads, strengthening the tribal fabric. You're settling now, embers low, the weight of new goods a sleepy comfort. Tomorrow, more paths to tread, exchanges to make. You ease into the evening's embrace, the sun dipping below the tree line like it's sneaking off for a nap, leaving the village bathed in that soft twilight glow where shadows stretch long and lazy. The hearth fire crackles low, drawing your clan closer. And tonight's not for chores or trades, it's for the tales. Those mystic threads of folklore spun from generations past, wrapping around you like a warm blanket with a few prickly surprises. You're settling on a log, mug of herbal brew in hand, as the elder clears his throat, voice gravelly like river stones tumbling. These stories aren't bedtime fluff. They're the glue holding your pagan world together, full of gods, ghosts, and cheeky morals that'd make you smirk if they weren't half terrifying. Imagine getting lost in one. You'd probably wander into a Leshy's trap and end up as moss fertilizer. But at least the tale would warn the next fool. The air thickens with anticipation as the storyteller begins, words flowing slow and rhythmic, like a lullaby laced with sarcasm. First up, the legend of Baba Yaga, that crone in her chicken-legged hut, spinning through forests on a mortar and pestle. You're picturing her now, warts and all, cackling as she tests wanderers with riddles sharper than your axe. Answer right, the elder intones, and she grants wisdom.
Wrong, and your supper? It's oral tradition at its finest.
Passed mouth to ear, no scrolls needed, just memory and moonlight. You lean in, feeling the ASMR tingle from his whispered warnings. The fires pop, punctuating her bony fingers, pointing at fools like you. Stories cascade like a waterfall. The Rusalki, those drowned maidens luring men to watery graves with songs sweeter than honey. You're out by the river in the tale, hearing their calls on a misty eve. Tempted to follow, cheeky sirens,
they drown you with a kiss and a giggle.
Elders weave these to teach caution, respect the waters, or join the chorus below. Then there's the domovoj's antics, household spirit, playing pranks, misplacing tools, or souring milk if you neglect the hearth. Leave bread, the storyteller advises, or he'll knot your beard while you sleep. Laughter ripples, but you know it's half serious. Folklore's your guidebook to the unseen, sarcastic nudges from ancestors. You're drawn deeper, the night unfolding legends of werewolves, Volkolaki, men cursed by Veles to prowl as wolves howling under full moons. A fringed tidbit floats in. Some say biting a silver-tipped arrow reverses it, but only if you whisper the god's name backward thrice, mess up.
And you're stuck furry forever.
Villagers swear by such quirks, hiding silver scraps under pillows, smirking at the moon like daring it to try.
These aren't written.
They're alive, morphing with each telling. A sleepy evolution where one clan's wolf has golden eyes.
Another's breathes fire.
Around the fire, traditions bloom, story circles where anyone chimes in, adding twists. Kids mimic gestures, learning the lore young, their wide eyes reflecting flames. It's communal hypnosis, voices blending in chants that echo ancient rhythms. A tale of the firebird next, radiant creature whose feathers bring fortune or doom. You're chasing it in the story, through thorns that snag like jealous lovers.
Only to learn humility, grab greedily and it burns. Ask politely and wealth flows.
Morals sneak in cheeky. Don't be a dolt, respect the mystic. Historical fact, ethnographic records indicate that by the 9th century, Slavic oral traditions included epic byline, heroic songs performed by Skaziteli wanderers, preserving myths that influenced later Kievan Rus literature and art. But the night's quirkier edges emerge in whispers of the Upia.
Vampire-like fiends rising from graves to drain life.
A tidbit claims driving an aspen stake through the heartworks, but only if carved during a thunderstorm, Perun's blessing, or so they say. You chuckle, but elders nod solemnly, hiding garlic braids in huts just in case. These fringe elements add spice, turning tales from lessons to thrills that linger in dreams. Debates flicker like embers. Historians still argue whether these folklore roots stem purely from Slavic origins or borrowed from Finno-Ugric neighbours, with motifs like shape-shifting echoing across cultures, suggesting trade in myths as much as goods. Some claim indigenous, others a blended tapestry.
You're not debating.
You're immersed. The storytellers pause, drawing breaths, then diving into Koshchei the Deathless, immortal villain hiding his soul in nested objects, a riddle chase ending in clever triumph.
Outwit him, he murmurs.
And death bows. It's ASMR magic, words soft as falling leaves, sarcasm in Koshchei's smug invincibility crumbling. As stars prick the sky, traditions shift to participatory bits. You act out parts, mimicking a Leshy's roar or a Viola's dance. Laughter, softening the scares. Women spin yarns of Mokosh weaving fates, threads tangling lives in cheeky knots. Men boast warrior legends, bogateers battling dragons, strength from earth gods. It's inclusive, sleepy bonding where folklore cements identity, your tribe's tales unique, yet echoing others in the vast pagan web. Nights like this heal too, stories mend rifts, recall oaths worn of hubris.
A final legend, the world tree, axis of realms, roots in underworld,
branches in heavens. You're climbing it in mind, branches whispering secrets, gods perched like birds.
It ties everything, life, death.
The in-between, in a cosmic joke, climb too high and you fall. Stay grounded and roots hold you. Fire dwindles, voices fade to whispers, leaving you with echoes. Folklore's your inheritance, oral rivers flowing eternal. Drift, now tales, seeding dreams, cheeky guardians against the dark. You stir from the haze of those fireside legends, the echoes of ancient voices fading like morning mist over the fields as the first light creeps in and pulls you back to the rhythms of the
day where women aren't just
background figures but the quiet architects of this pagan tapestry. You're watching your sister or mother now, her hands deftly kneading dough by the hearth, but there's more to it, a sacred undercurrent in every motion that ties her to the gods themselves. In this world, gender's not a divide but a dance, cheeky and intertwined, where women's roles carry the weight of mystery
and power that make any modern
equality seminar blush. Imagine trying to keep up. You'd probably burn the bread and offend Mokosh in one go,
dooming the harvest to your clumsiness.
The day unfolds with her at the centre, rising before the roosters to tend the fire, whispering invocations to the domovoi for a peaceful home. She's the guardian of the threshold, scratching protective runes on the doorframe with a bone needle, warding off stray spirits that might sneak in with the dawn. In pagan society, women hold the keys to fertility and fate, literally, as midwives and healers, their hands bringing new life or easing.
The old internet, you're
helping her gather herbs in the meadow, baskets swinging as she points out which leaves honor Lada, goddess of love and spring, or which roots appease the Rusalki to avoid watery mishaps.
It's not drudgery.
It's authority wrapped in everyday grace, a sleepy command over the household that extends to the village council, where her voice carries as much thunder as any chieftain's. You're deeper in the dynamics now, seeing how marriage isn't a cage but a pact, often arranged, but with her say, refuse a suitor, and it's her right, backed by family oaths. She brings dowry of linens and livestock, but gains control over the hearth, the economic pulse where grains are stored and trades negotiated from home. In rituals, she's front and center, leading dances around the maypole for Yarilo, her skirts swirling in patterns that mimic the earth's turns, invoking fertility for fields and wombs alike. Men hunt and raid, sure, but she weaves the cloth that clothes them, brews the mead that steals their nerves, and reads the omens, in bird flights or tea leaves.
Omens that could halt a war party if they sour. Cheeky, isn't it?
The warriors boast scars, but she holds the threads of life, pulling strings from the shadows. As seasons shift, her roles bloom. Spring sees her planting seeds with prayers to Mokosh, fingers pressing earth like a lover's touch, ensuring the clan's belly stays full. She's the one burying offerings, dolls of straw or bread loaves in furrows, a sacred bargain for bounty. Come harvest, she leads the women in songs that lull the spirits into generosity, their voices rising soft and hypnotic over the sickle's swish. In winter, huddled by the fire, she's storyteller and seamstress, mending not just clothes but spirits with tales of Vila, those wild women's spirits who dance storms into being or calm them with a whim. You're listening mesmerized as she spins. Yarn, literal and figurative, teaching you that women's power mirrors the goddesses' fierce, nurturing,
Unpredictable. Village life pulses with this balance.
she's not barred from weapons. Some women ride with raids, bows slung, invoking Divana for true aim. Others stay, fortifying homes, with charms, hanging garlic, braids or carving symbols on cradles to protect the young. In assemblies, her opinion sways decisions. The gods whisper drought, she might say.
And plans pivot. Marriages?
She arranges them too, eyeing lineages for strength, ensuring bloodlines weave strong like her tapestries. Childbirth's her domain, rituals with Rojanitsi, fate weavers where she burns herbs for safe delivery. The air thick with smoky ASMR whispers that ease pain and invite blessings. Historical fact artifacts from Scythian influence. Slavic sites reveal that by the 5th century, women were buried with elaborate jewelry and tools, indicating high status in pagan societies, often as priestesses or leaders in domestic and ritual spheres. But let's quirk it. Fringe whispers tell of Zritsi, female shamans who drank mare's milk,
Fermented with sacred.
mushrooms to commune with Mokosh, emerging with visions that guided tribes, visions of buried springs or enemy ambushes. They danced naked under moons, bodies painted with runes, claiming the earth's pulse as their own heartbeat. Villagers eyed them warily, but followed their words, cheeky respect for the wild feminine that could bless or blight. You're in a women's circle now under a sacred oak, sharing secrets passed mother to daughter. How to brew love potions from rose hips and dew, or curse a rival with knotted threads that bind their luck. It's intimate, sarcastic banter flowing. Try that on your man. See if he fetches water faster, but laced with power.
Men respect this space, knowing intrusion invites the gods' ire.
In death too her role shines, preparing bodies for burial.
Anointing with oils, singing laments that guide souls to Vela's realm.
Her grief's a bridge, ensuring ancestors watch benevolently. Scholars still argue whether pagan gender dynamics were truly egalitarian or veiled patriarchy, with some citing female idols as evidence of matrifocal worship, while others point to male-dominated warfare as tilting the
Scale. Debates fueled by sparse
texts and biased later Christian accounts. Night's fall and she's the last awake, banking the fire with a final prayer. Her silhouette a pillar in the hut's dim. You're drifting, but sense her strength, the sacred roll that holds the world steady. Tomorrow she'll rise first, cheeky guardian of the dawn, weaving the day's fate anew. You blink awake to the sound of laughter filtering through the hut's walls, high-pitched and wild, like birds chasing each other through the canopy. It's the children already out in the dawn light, turning the village into their playground where every
sticks a sword in every
puddle a mystical portal. You're pulling yourself up, rubbing sleep from your eyes, remembering your own youth in flashes, those endless days of
romping through forests that felt alive with secrets.
upbringing. Here's no structured school with bells and books. It's informal, cheeky lessons woven into games that teach survival with a side of sarcasm from the elders. Imagine being a kid here. You'd probably chase a squirrel right into a bog, emerging muddied and wiser, or so the adults claim with a wink. The morning kicks off with the little ones tumbling out of huts, barefoot and boundless, herded loosely by mothers or older siblings. You're watching a group now, including perhaps your own kin,
as they gather berries under watchful eyes, not just for breakfast,
but to learn which are sweet and which will twist your guts like a leshy's prank. Red and ripe, safe to bite. Blue and glossy, make you bossy, an elder chants in rhyme. turning education into a sleepy sing-song that sticks better than any lecture. Games start simple. Tag in the meadows, where dodging teaches agility for hunts or escapes,
laughter echoing soft like whispers in the wind.
but it's the forest that calls them deepest. A living classroom where trees are teachers and streams spill secrets. You're trailing them into the woods now, the path dappled with sunlight filtering through leaves like nature's
Own lantern show.
They play hide from the leshy, vanishing behind trunks, mimicking bird calls to signal safe spots, informal, training in stealth and signals that could save lives during raids.
A cheeky twist. The leshy player wears a crown of branches.
Growling comically, but the lesson's real. Get lost for true, and you learn orienteering the hard way, following moss on north-facing trees or the river's flow home. Elders encourage it, sarcasm dripping, go on, wander off. The spirits love fresh company. It's upbringing by immersion, where falls bruise egos and knees, building resilience without coddling. Deeper in, the games evolve, building fairy forts from sticks and moss, miniature villages that mirror your own, teaching construction and community. Kids assign roles, one the chieftain, bossing with a twig scepter, another the shaman, cursing foes with mud pies. It's playful politics, informal education in hierarchies and harmony, where squabbles resolve with shared apples or elder mediation.
You're chuckling at their antics.
A boy claiming his forts warded by drawing runes in dirt, copied from hut doors, blending fun with folklore. These aren't random. They're echoes of adult life, preparing them for oaths and crafts without the weight of words like duty. As the sun climbs, they shift to river games, skipping stones or fishing with handmade. Hooks from bone, lessons in patience and precision, the splash of failures met with sarcastic cheers. Feed the fish your hook again. Success means a wriggling prize divided fairly, instilling sharing before greed takes root. Girls and boys mix freely, no strict divides. A lass might outskip a lad earning nods for her aim, foreshadowing her role in hunts or heels. Upbringing's egalitarian in play, cheeky challenges building bonds that last into adulthood, where today's playmate becomes tomorrow's spouse or shield mate. Village elders weave in lore during breaks, sitting circles under oaks for tales that lull and teach, stories of clever kids outwitting gods, like a boy tricking Velis into revealing hidden springs. It's ASMR storytelling, voices low and rhythmic, embedding morals, respect nature, or it bites back. Kids reenact them, turning narratives into games. Be the hero, chasing dragons, really logs with drawn faces,
Learning bravery with scraped shins as badges.
Afternoons bring craft games, weaving daisy chains into magic necklaces, informal intro to textiles or carving whistles from elder branches, sounding bird calls for hunts. You're helping a tyke now, knife steady in your hand over theirs, guiding cuts that teach tool safety without sermons. Mistakes, a nick draws blood but poultices follow, turning pain into plant knowledge, willow for aches, yarrow for wounds. It's holistic, sleepy progression where curiosity drives, not compulsion. Seasons colour the education. Spring mud wrestles build strength. Summer berry quests map the land. Autumn nut gathers stock winters while teaching storage. Winter snow forts mimic defences.
Always games infuse.
Spirituality, leaving offerings of pebbles for forest spirits during play.
A habitual reverence that sticks.
Historical fact, archaeological findings from early Slavic sites indicate that by the 7th century, children were interred with toys like wooden dolls and miniature tools, suggesting play-based learning mirrored adult roles, fostering skills from a young age in pagan communities. But quirk it, fringe legends murmur of forest children, kids supposedly raised by leshies after wandering off, returning years later with uncanny woodcraft speaking to animals or finding lost paths blindfolded.
Villagers whisper it as caution, but some claim sightings.
Cheeky boasts of kin with green eyes from such upbringings. Harmless myth or hidden truth. You'd smirk, but check your young ones twice at dusk. You're in a game now, spirit tag, where tagged become ghosts, whispering clues, informal riddles, sharpening wits, like What walks on four eats leaves, but guards the grove? A deer, of course. Laughter's soft, sarcastic forfeits for wrongs. Hop on one foot till forgiven. It builds quick thinking, essential for barters or battle.